post the biggest win, but they never tell you about the losses. You know, I've managed to get over about 100% gain with Equity Edge.
Wow.
Sometimes I take out partials which match my daily wages. And within my first, I think, a week, I made 6,000. The next day, I took another trade and ended up losing basically the whole 6%.
Oh.
Maybe double the size, go for 25, go for 50, and then move on to 100K. I've had about 100% gain. If that wasn't across an 100K account, that's 100K in the space of maybe 4 months.
Hey guys, it has been a while, but we are back interviewing some of our traders here at Equity Edge. So let's get straight into it. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
For everyone at home that doesn't know who you are, do you want to give a quick introduction to who you are and where you're from?
So my name is Sharia and I'm known as Shaz on Discord, and I'm from East London, and it's been about 4 years since I've been trading.
Okay, cool. How did you get into trading?
So it was basically when COVID hit, 2020, and I was just on Instagram, scrolling down, and I came across an advertisement which said you could make between 150 to 300 pounds weekly, and that was to do with trading. And basically that's how I got into it. And long story short, it's been 4 years, and yeah, I've been grinding really.
I love that. Do you work as well, or are you a full-time trader?
Not really. I'm working full-time. So trading is, part-time on the side. But my plan is to, quit my job and start focusing on trading as a full-time trader.
Okay, amazing. So you're here with us today because obviously you've been trading with Equity Edge. How many payouts have you had with us?
So far I've had about 35 payouts, and I've got about 4 to 5 more due for next week. So
wow.
Yeah, soon it'll be about 40, you could say.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
so by next week, you will literally hit
about 40,
40?
Yeah, about 40.
That is crazy. I don't think I've ever heard of any other trader.
To be honest, I'm surprised myself, but it's the consistency, I'm just trying to be, stay consistent with the trades. And yeah, I found my edge, after a good 4 years of hard work, back testing and so on. And yeah, 35 payouts, and here I am at Equity Edge now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So obviously you say consistency, but walk me through, what has it been like over the last 4 years to actually get to this point? What have you done that's, let's say, different to everyone else?
To be honest, I've done, countless back testing, being awake, night after night, and yeah.
Holding the phone in your hand while you're watching
exactly,
the charts,
fall asleep, wake up, see whether it hit take profit, stop loss. So, it was countless, back testing and just making sure, I have realistic targets, because a lot of traders out there, they're trying to go for unrealistic gains. And my plan is to, just remain consistent and have realistic targets. And I feel like having a realistic target is what, made me get my 35 payouts so far with Equity Edge. What
do you kind of aim for? What percentage gain each payout?
To be honest, I don't really have it because I have multiple accounts with Equity Edge. So, it's anywhere between 2 to 8%.
Okay.
So if I've hit 2% and I feel like, it's time for me to move on to another account, it depends as well how far my payout date is as well. So if I made 200 and I've got payout date maybe due next 3-4 days, I'll basically stop trading that account, focus on the other fresh account. And by doing that, I've managed to get over about 100% gain with Equity Edge.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, it has been, truly amazing for me.
Yeah. So you say you have multiple accounts with us. Yeah. Obviously, our max funding is 100K. Yeah. So how many accounts do you have, and what kind of sizes are they?
So they're all 10Ks, and I have about 70K in funded.
Okay.
Yeah. So, my plan is to max out to 100K, but I've just been taking slowly, I don't want to rush into it and, fail everything that I've achieved so far. So I've just been taking, baby steps really. So yeah, I've got about 7 accounts with Equity Edge.
Okay, I quite like that actually, because a lot of traders tend to just go for the bigger accounts.
Yeah.
So even me, for example, I don't really buy anything less than a 100K account.
Yeah.
But your strategy of having multiple accounts and making profits across all of them, it makes a lot of sense. Do you think that helps with your mindset and your risk management?
To be honest, yeah, it does help a lot with mindset and risk management as well. I mean, at the end of the day, it's, based on percentage, a game really. Whether it's 10K or 100K, you're looking at 8% to pass, when it comes to passing the challenges. But I feel like regardless if you look at percentages wise, but when you look at, figure wise, 800 to pass 10K, 8,000 to pass, 100K, it kind of does play with the mindset. So I feel like, my plan was to focus on 10K, build that consistency. Once I have that, then I can, start focusing on maybe double the size, go for 25, go for 50 and then move on to 100K. So, just like small steps rather than just taking a big leap to 100K account.
You know what? I think that for people that are watching at home, I think that is great advice. Like I say, I only really trade like 100K or 200K accounts, but I don't come from very much. So when I'm seeing like 6K, 8K, 10K profits on my account, greed does start to kick in. And I don't think it's an easy fix.
It's not.
To get over that. When you don't come from much, jump into seeing such huge profits.
Exactly.
It is a lot. And then when you lose that amount of money as well, that can be very detrimental.
To be honest, I had that experience with one of the prop firms. So I was funded for 100K. And within my first, I think, a week, I made 6,000. And I should have stopped trading. But like you said, greed kicks in. That's what happened. A week later, lost that 6K, lost my funded account, So that was one of my biggest lessons, It's like you need to basically set targets of when you need to stop trading. And I think ever since I started to implement that in my 10K accounts, that's what, led me to 35 payouts for me to be, consistently, getting gains rather than blowing accounts after account. But personally, me, like you said, 100K accounts, I've blown countless 100K accounts, But yeah, I learned my lesson and, I said, let's start from the small amount and, we can scale up eventually. And yeah, here I am.
It makes a lot of sense. I think, and to be honest, I've never heard of a trader that does it that way. I mean, there's probably loads, but I've never spoken to a trader who trades in that way. And it makes sense. And I mean, you're probably had the most payouts that I've probably ever seen, even with people that have accounts across multiple firms. Having 35 payouts with one firm, it's pretty much unheard of, I feel like.
To be honest, I haven't heard as well, but for me, it's a great achievement, But I mean, I guess, everyone's different, For some, it works well on 100K. So it just depends on, how a person is as a trader and how you look at your account, So for me, I feel like 10K is working well for me, but my next plan is to, start scaling up to bigger accounts. But it won't be, me jumping straight to 100K. It will be from 10 to 25. And so on, so that's my basically plan for the next few months or so.
Okay, cool. Do you journal?
Yes and no. It depends really because I work as well, so I'm not a full-time trader. So, I have to juggle around with my schedule. So sometimes, I do journal my losses, maybe not my wins, but I do journal my losses and put a reason to why I'm losing. So, I can then try and improve, when I'm sitting for back testing, I can then go back with that particular trade and look at the reason to why I lost. Did I enter too early? Did I over risk? So there go so many reasons to it. So my losses are 100% journal as compared to my wins. So yeah, I do journal.
Makes sense. Like for me, I went through, I'd say 8 years of my trading, without journaling anything. And I was always like, what's the point? Like, I'm probably never going to look back at it. But then I had a conversation with one of my friends and he was like, Madge, you need to start journaling. And because I really respected him as a trader, I was like, right, okay, let me start implementing this. And that alone has really helped me personally.
Yeah, journaling does help. It depends, if someone has maybe 2 or 3 different strategies which they're working on. So if you journal, you can look back and see which one's working the most for you. And that kind of, can, help you to limit what type of strategy you shouldn't use. So journaling does help quite a lot. I've learned it the hard way. So I started to, but like I said, I don't journal all my trades, but I do make sure to journal my losses so that I can look back at it.
I think that's the most important thing as well. Obviously, the losses is something that we can learn from.
Exactly.
Winners are the winners.
Winners are winners, exactly.
Like, we can't really learn much from them, but obviously losses, we can learn, was the entry rubbish? Was there news? Like, all these different factors.
Missing out. There's way too many, a lot of factors to it. So yeah, journaling does help.
Okay. What's your strategy based around? If you could give like a quick breakdown of what your strategy is.
So it's mix and match, a bit of ICT and supply and demand. They all mixed together. When I started, I looked into ICT. It did not work out well for me, but I did like some of the aspects to it, some of the things that ICT, uses. And then I jumped to smart money concept as well. Did not really like it. It did not work for me. So I realized, things that work for others will not work for me. So I'll go maybe, I'll still go through the content just to pick some of the information that can be useful for me. So I'll put them together. So I kind of, trade, more of like, you could say supply and demand really. Yeah. It's very basic, at the end of the day, what matters most in terms of trading is your psychology being in place, your risk management being, intact as well. as well as your emotion being in control. As long as you have those three things, you can even be profitable from trading the basic support and resistance, really, in my opinion. So that's how I see it.
I agree. As soon as you said ICT, I was like,
yeah, it's been a tough place.
Yeah, and then SMC, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But I do understand the concept of like looking at different things and putting together your own strategy. And I think that is something important that every trade should take on board. Don't just go to ICT and do exactly everything that ICT says. Don't go to SMC and do everything.
Exactly.
Maybe have a look at a range of different things and then pair that all together and come up with your own strategy.
That's how it should be.
Simplify it in a way that you can easily explain, and there's your edge.
Yeah, exactly. That's how people find edge, So, yeah, for me, I went through a bunch of these things, So it didn't work out for me, like I said, took loss after loss. So I was like, you know what, I got to sit down and see what things I can pick up. And at the end of the day, whether it's SMC or ICT, they have similar concept. It's just, people come up with their own name, So yeah, you just look at what works for you, but not, what works for you might not work for me, that's how it is. So, but it's good to, look at other traders, pick up some of the things, because there's always something new to learn. Whether that works for you or not, you can backtest and, implement in your strategy.
Absolutely. So one thing that I have actually never done in my 10 years of trading is actually backtest.
Oh, you've never done?
I've never backtested. I have forward tested and lost shitloads of money doing that, but I don't know what it is. I've just never felt like sitting down and going back to the charts when they're closed. Like, talk me through it. How does it help a trader? Because obviously it's helped you.
Yeah. Back testing is mainly, to figure out your strategy, really, But when it comes to, real life market, that's completely different. Like you said, you start losing tons of money. So, I would say, back test your strategy. Once you find it, rather than jumping straight to, live accounts, putting your live money in and stuff like that, it's best to forward test it. It could be just paper trading, just to see, what you've back tested. What it was working backtest, will it actually work in a live market or not? Obviously, once you start doing it and you feel like, everything in backtesting is being successful in live market, I think, you probably might have found your edge. And from there, you could just, start looking into your personal accounts or, prop firms. You could come to Equity Edge as well, one of the best prop firms, in my opinion, out here. So yeah, the backtesting does help. Depends how you look at it, really.
Do you still backtest now?
I do. Sometimes I do, look back at my losses. So, I'll, go back in time, the losses that I've had, replay the chart just to see, what I've missed in there. So, but there are times where I backtest so that, I'm not losing my edge. I know, what's working for me currently. Let's look at in the past. Now let's forward test it. Because, some of my strategy, they work well on some of the pairs, but it might not work on some of the other pairs, So it's always good to backtest, to see what pairs will suit me more in case I want to, because at the moment I trade gold, GBP JPY and GBP USD. But obviously I might not have opportunities on these three pairs, maybe, for a day or 2 days. So for me to start looking at other pair, I've got to backtest to see if there is any new pair that I can include that I can start trading.
Okay. It's quite interesting actually that you trade gold as well as Forex pairs.
Yeah.
So I can't trade gold. My analysis on high time frame gold always comes through. But me trying to find an entry on gold, I've just written it off completely. I trade GBP USD. Yeah. That is what I'm comfortable with. It's volatile enough, but calm enough for me to get a nice entry.
Yeah, gold is a tough play, like you said,
Yeah.
Me, I don't always trade it. It just depends when I find the cleanest setup.
Okay.
Only then I'll, actually enter. Otherwise, I just stick to, FX pairs really. GBP JPY being the best because it does move a lot. It is volatile, but as long as, you have your analysis, once my analysis told me, what, it's time for me to get in, I'll execute my trade depending on my risk management. And yeah, the main thing is emotions, which I already have, locked in. So, there are times where, things can go wrong.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we are human. Exactly, So there have been times where, I might have, revenge traded because, it depends really what mindset you are in, So there are, even after having 35 payouts, I have drawn some of the accounts in the process. But, like you said, we're human. Things can go wrong. So it's just part of learning curve really,
Yeah.
We can never be perfect. we can try, but we'll never be. But that's how, it is.
100%. And you know what? I'm glad you said that about blown accounts.
Yeah.
Even though you've had 35 payouts, you've still blown accounts.
Exactly.
And I think that just goes to show, like you say, like we are human and no trader is going to be consistently perfect.
You can never be.
It's not possible.
Exactly. I mean, I've had 35 payouts, and, whilst that, I might have blown maybe 3-4 funded accounts, and maybe some of the challenges as well. But, it's part of the game, but the main thing is, you got to learn from your mistakes. There are a lot of traders out there, they will never learn from their mistakes and they'll question why is it not working for them. I mean, you're not really learning from your mistakes. So how will it actually work out for you? So my biggest thing is, I'll make notes. I try my best to learn from mistakes. I mean, sometimes, it's the same mistake will happen, but as long as you're learning, you're trying to improve, that's what matters the most.
Makes sense. Talk to me about that mindset element. Like, do you do anything to keep your mindset in check when it comes to trading, or is it just something that comes natural for you?
To be honest, I had to work a lot, for it, and because obviously trading is not my full-time job, so I have another job. So the best thing what I do is, I do my analysis on every Sunday, put alerts. When the alerts come in, I'll place the trade and I'll just get on with my work, just the task I've got to do in my normal day-to-day job. So I'll just focus on that and I'll just wait to see, how my trade played out. So I feel like, there are a lot of traders, as soon as after 1 or 2 payouts, they quit the job. They start focusing on, trading. And because they're in front of the charts 24 hours, that's where you start making mistakes,
Very detrimental.
The best thing to do is enter a trade, walk away, don't need to look at the charts, because the more you look at it, it happened to me where sometime, I'll close my trade. Next thing you know, the trade could have been in 50 plus pips more profit, happens a lot. But if you just, leave it and just get on with your day, I feel like that's probably the best way to manage your mindset, especially,
100%. I think people need to be okay with leaving profits on the table.
Exactly.
It's not about getting every pip. It's not about getting the highest percentage. It's about just getting in the market, getting something and getting out.
Exactly. That's how it should be. And personally, for myself, when I'm in a trade, sometimes I take out partials which match my daily wages, for example. Okay. So I'll take out the partial. I know I've made my daily salary, which I'll do in normal job. The rest, I'll set it for break even, risk free. Now, even if it takes me out, it's fine. I've made my daily salary, and by doing that, I've been getting between, on an average, I would say 4% per payout with Equity Edge. And this is just on, 10K accounts. And like I said, I've had about 100% gain. If that wasn't across on 100K accounts, that's 100K in space of maybe 4 months, and that is a crazy, jump. So, as long as you're realistic with your targets, I think you can easily achieve, what you want to achieve. But the moment you set unrealistic target is where you're going to get bitten hard, and that's how basically I train my mindset with.
What does your day look like? So obviously you say all of your alerts set on the Sunday night.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does, talk to me about a general working day.
So I'll do my analysis on Sundays. Monday I'll wake up before going, leaving my house for work. I'll just, give a brief look at the charts just to see if there are any position, close for me to enter. If they are, I'll maybe monitor until I get to my workplace. If not, I'll just get on with my day, start working. When I do get an alert, I'll just take maybe 5 minutes break. Look at, if there is entry for me. Once I, get confirmations, I'll enter. And that's it, get back to work and get on with my day. And obviously, whether it hits stop loss or take profit, I get a notification. So I look at it and I'll be like, minor. If it's stop loss, minor, just move on with it. So that's my daily routine really. So Monday to Wednesday, I'm off Thursday and Friday. So me and my friends, we do like live session. So that helps a lot as well. There are a bunch of traders, they trade on their own. And I feel like, when they start losing, they start, revenge trading and stuff like that. So on Thursday, Friday, me and my friend, we do live trading. Obviously, we trade different concepts, different ways of trading, but we'll be on a call just to, support each other so that we're not making, any silly mistakes. And just keep ourselves busy, so our mind is not too focused on the wins or losses. You just enter and just have a normal conversation, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. One thing that traders don't tend to talk about very often, especially online, especially on Twitter, is the losses. How do you feel when you take a loss?
To be honest, it's not the best feeling as a trader, knowing that you've lost, maybe one person, two person. I mean, depends on how much you risk really. So it's not a good feeling, but, it's just like, I just, brush it off really, because I know if I focus too much on that particular loss, I know I'm going to end up, taking the trades that I shouldn't be taking, or I end up, revenge trading and stuff like that. So yeah, I just try and brush it off and just move on. And that's how basically I manage it myself. But I mean, there are traders out there, they don't tell you about their losses. It's all about, they post the biggest win, but they never tell you about the losses and stuff like that. But that's something I personally don't like. I'm against it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's the biggest loss that you've taken?
I think biggest loss was with one of the prop firm. I made about 6K. And the next day I took another trade and ended up losing basically the whole 6%.
Oh.
So obviously I'm not going to mention the prop firm name, but that was probably one of the first and the biggest payout that I could have had, which I made in one day and lost in the next day really, all because of greed, so that was the biggest loss I had.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that trading on bigger accounts is more detrimental to your mindset compared to trading on smaller accounts?
I think it is, but then again, it depends on, person as well. Everyone's different. So me personally, I feel like I can easily, manage the 10K, having my mindset in right place as well. And the way I've been training myself and my mindset has been, working perfectly fine with the 10K. Like I said earlier, my aim is to start, doubling it up. So next month, I might be focusing on 25K account. Once, I've got the consistency on 25K, it'll be 50K and then 100K. And, the numbers just keep going bigger and bigger really at that point. Yeah.
That makes sense. Do you think you'll get to a point where you're like, right, I'm ready to quit my job? What do you think you would have to have in funding or consistently making to quit your job? Because I know previously off camera we spoke about how a lot of traders will make a bit of money, quit their job and go all in on trading, which I personally advise absolutely against.
Exactly.
What does your plan for leaving your job and going maybe full-time trading look like?
By now I was expecting, to leave my job already, but I feel like, sometimes when you start putting targets, sometimes people say within the next 2 years, I want to leave my job. And when you start getting closer to the time and you haven't achieved what you planned, it kind of starts messing with your mindset. So initially my plan is, to quit my job once I have maybe 1.2 million in, funding across multiple prop firms. But I'm not going to leave straight up. I need to have enough money saved up in my bank, because trading, it all comes down to emotions. Maybe, one day I might not be in the right mindset. I could end up blowing everything I might have. And, I might have nothing in my bank. So, I've got to have enough savings and maybe have other passive incomes. So once I have, multiple incomes coming in, that's the time where I could say, what, it's time to quit 9 to 5 and start living, the best life really.
That's smart. I think that's probably the smartest answer to that question.
Exactly, yeah, because I mean, at the start I did, after taking few payouts, which I had with another prop firm, I did plan on, quitting. And I think it's probably the best decision I made not to quit, because after that, I went into kind of, consistently losses after losses. And if I quit my job, I feel like, it'd be the worst financial situation for me. So yeah, I'm glad I did not leave, but plan is to leave very soon, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. What has your experience been like overall trading with Equity Edge?
Honestly, the best experience so far. I mean, payouts are very quick as well, within 48 hours. I mean, 35 payouts that I've had, I would say 95, I received within 48 hours or less. And when it comes to the support team as well, honestly, all of them are really helpful. And not just helpful, when I compare them to other prop firms, they're a lot friendly as well, It's not just to do with the business, but you can have conversation outside of business as well, So yeah, I've had the best experience with Equity Edge so far. And I think I'm probably most active in Equity Edge compared to any other prop firm Discord. So yeah, Equity Edge for me is 10/10 so far.
I love that. If you could give one piece of advice to traders watching at home, what would it be?
Honestly, backtest, don't put your money in, keep backtesting. And once you found your edge, come to Equity Edge. You'll get tons of payouts really.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on and being our first guest when we're back to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great talking to you, and congratulations on being, I think, one of the most paid traders
Hopefully carries
from
on.
Equity Edge. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, of course, of course. And of course, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you tune in again to see another podcast.